All right, buckle up everyone, because today we're taking a deep dive into the wild world of crypto. And I've got a true market wizard with me to help us navigate all the twists and turns. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Sui, even the AI coin explosion. NFTs making a comeback, and some really interesting DeFi developments. So yeah, get ready for some serious aha moments, because things are moving fast.
It really is a fascinating time to be watching this space. The narratives are definitely changing quickly, and you can just feel the energy in the market.
Let's start with the big guy, Bitcoin. It's dancing above $100,000 again, but is this rally going to stick around? What's really pushing it up?
Well, the money flowing into Bitcoin ETFs is huge. I mean, 11 days straight of inflows. But I think we have to look past just the institutional investors. The story is becoming more about Bitcoin as a real reserve asset. Countries and even U.S. states are looking into this. That's adding a whole new layer of demand. And honestly, a fear of missing out that we just haven't seen in past cycles.
It's interesting though, right? Even with Bitcoin doing so well, there's this feeling of, I don't know, dissatisfaction among some investors. What's going on there?
Yeah, it is kind of a strange thing, isn't it? My take is it comes down to positioning and anticipation. Lots of investors are heavily in Bitcoin and they're seeing the altcoin market getting hot. It's almost this uneasy feeling of waiting for the alt season to really explode, even though it might be kind of sort of already happening.
So is Bitcoin's dominance fading? Are we seeing a rotation into altcoins?
The drop in Bitcoin's dominance percentage does seem to say that money is moving elsewhere. And when we look at Ethereum, the signs are pretty interesting.
Ethereum's been on fire.
Hmm.
Is this the start of the flippening, that moment everyone's been waiting for, where Ethereum takes over the top spot from Bitcoin?
Hmm. I don't know if I'd call it a flippening just yet. Yeah, Ethereum's gaining, we've got these massive inflows into Ethereum ETFs, but Bitcoin's on-chain security is still king. But the developer activity on Ethereum is really something else that's driving long-term value. We're seeing this surge in new applications, new ways to use it, which is pulling in both the big institutions and regular investors.
So you're not just looking at the price, you're looking at the fundamentals, the actual usefulness of the network. What specific things are you tracking to see how Ethereum's developing?
Well, one big one is the number of active addresses on the network. A jump in active addresses usually means real usage growth, not just speculation. We're also seeing huge growth in decentralized finance, DeFi applications built on Ethereum, which points to a strong and growing ecosystem.
Okay, so Bitcoin and Ethereum are the giants. But there were some new contenders coming up in the altcoin world, particularly Solana and Sui. What's the buzz about these two?
Solana has had, well, remarkable growth, especially this year. Its ecosystem has really exploded with innovation, attracting developers and users. But there's this sense that the momentum could be shifting.
What's causing that?
One thing is Solana's got this big token unlock coming up in January. Now, just so everyone knows, a token unlock is when a chunk of a cryptocurrency's total supply, which was locked up, becomes available to trade. And this flood of new tokens can push the price down.
So investors are getting nervous about that potential price drop.
Exactly. And this is where Sui comes in. It's a newer blockchain platform, and it's generating a lot of excitement, especially because of its potential with artificial intelligence. It's being touted as a stronger, more scalable platform for AI development, and some people see it as, well, undervalued right now compared to Solana. It's that classic under-owned story that gets investors looking for the next big thing.
Which in the crypto world is like irresistible to a lot of investors.
Yeah.
But what makes Sui specifically good for AI? What sets it apart from Solana?
Sui's architecture is designed to process transactions in parallel, so it can handle a ton of transactions at the same time, which is really important for those complex AI applications that need a lot of computing power. Plus, Sui's programming language is made for developing smart contracts that can work with AI models. It makes it easier for developers to build those fancy AI-powered applications.
So it's not just about the price going up, but the underlying tech and whether it can handle this new wave of AI.
Exactly. And this is precisely why understanding the tech is so important, especially in a market that's often driven by hype and,
Right.
speculation.
All right, so we've got Solana, the rising star, maybe facing some headwinds, and Sui, the newcomer, with big potential in the AI space. But speaking of AI, it's impossible to ignore this explosion of AI-related coins and tokens in the market. Are we seeing another bubble, or is there something real behind this?
It's definitely something to watch. We're seeing AI coins and tokens grabbing a huge amount of attention, a lot of investment. Some of these coins have seen incredible growth in a very short time, even surpassing some well-established projects.
It reminds me of the meme coin craze and the NFT boom back in 2021.
Hmm.
Is this just another case of investors chasing the next shiny object?
There are definitely some similarities, and just like with meme coins and NFTs, figuring out what these AI coins are actually worth is tricky. It's hard to separate the hype from the real potential, especially when the technology is changing so fast.
Because things are moving so fast, it's hard to know what's truly valuable and what's going to disappear tomorrow. Where are you seeing this AI explosion happening the most?
There are two main areas that are really strong. First, you've got the AI agent coins like GOAT and Fcoin. These are coins tied to AI bots that are doing all sorts of things, generating memes, giving trading tips, even chatting on social media. They're like the influencers of the AI world, stirring up excitement and building communities.
And then there's the infrastructure side.
Exactly. The AI infrastructure coins like virtuals and AI 16s are connected to platforms and projects that give you the tools and infrastructure to build and use AI applications. Virtuals, for example, is a marketplace for these AI bots, and now it's worth, get this, $2.5 billion dollars. And AI 16s, which wants to be the first AI-powered hedge fund, just hit a $1 billion market cap.
Those are some serious numbers. But with all this fast growth, how can investors even start to evaluate these projects? Are there any red flags to watch out for?
One red flag is if a project isn't being upfront about its team, its technology, or its tokenomics, that's a worry. Another is if they're relying too much on hype and marketing. If a project spends more time promoting itself than actually building its product, that's a warning sign.
So be skeptical, don't just jump on the bandwagon. Really understand what's behind the project.
Absolutely. And remember, this is still super early in AI development, so expect things to be volatile and be ready for those quick shifts in sentiment. What's hot today might be old news tomorrow.
Okay, so be careful, but don't ignore the potential. This AI wave could be huge. But let's switch gears a bit and talk about another surprising trend: the return of NFTs. Are we seeing a real comeback, or is this just another bubble about to pop?
It's definitely an unexpected twist. And just like with those AI coins, there's a lot of hype and speculation driving the market right now. But there are also some interesting things happening that suggest this resurgence has some staying power.
I gotta admit, when I heard NFTs were back, I thought someone was pulling my leg. What's behind this comeback?
One of the main drivers is the anticipation of token launches. We're seeing people willing to pay a premium for NFT projects that haven't launched their own tokens yet, and that's creating a lot of buzz.
So it's like buying a lottery ticket, hoping you'll win big when the token drops.
That's one way to look at it. And of course, there's that fear of missing out. When you see prices going up and everyone around you getting excited, it's hard to resist jumping in.
It's human nature. But in the market as wild as crypto, following the crowd can be dangerous.
Exactly. And that's why it's important to understand what's really happening. Are people buying these NFTs because they truly believe in the project and what it could become? Or are they just hoping for a quick profit from a token launch or a quick sale?
So look past the hype and see if there's real value there. Are there any specific NFT projects that you're keeping an eye on?
Definitely. Take Pudgy Penguins, for example. They've announced they're launching a token soon, and the price of their NFTs has gone through the roof. They've even overtaken Bored Apes in terms of market cap, which would have been crazy to think just a few weeks ago.
So it's like people are buying into what these NFTs might be worth in the future, not just the art itself.
Exactly. And that speculation is creating a domino effect. We're seeing other projects like Doodles and Zuki doing really well too, with rumors of their own token launches floating around.
It's amazing how sentiment and speculation can drive these markets. But is this like the NFT boom of 2021, or are there big differences this time?
Well, there are similarities, that sense of FOMO, the rush to get in before prices go higher. But the market is more mature now. Investors have been through a cycle, they've seen projects rise and fall, then they're probably more cautious.
They've learned some tough lessons.
Exactly. And I think we're also seeing buyers being more picky. Investors are looking more closely at a project's utility and community, not just the hype.
So it's not just about the art or making a quick buck. People are looking for NFTs that offer real value and utility.
Exactly. And that's a good sign for the long-term health of the NFT space.
It's like NFTs are growing up,
Okay.
leaving those awkward teenage years behind.
Yeah.
But let's move on to a sector that's been quietly building and innovating all along: DeFi. What's happening over there?
DeFi often gets overlooked when all the attention is on meme coins and NFTs, but it's the foundation for a more decentralized and fair financial system.
It's the workhorse, not the show pony.
That's a perfect way to put it. While the spotlight is somewhere else, DeFi is steadily building the infrastructure for a future where people have more control over their money.
And it seems like DeFi is finally getting some well-deserved attention, not just from the crypto folks, but from regulators and even traditional financial institutions.
Definitely. People are starting to realize that DeFi isn't going away. It's here to stay, and it's time to figure out how to work with it.
Speaking of working with it, there are reports that Trump has invested in Avav, Chainlink, and Ethereum. That's pretty surprising, coming from someone who wasn't always a big crypto fan.
It is, and those coins have jumped in price since that news came out. It shows the impact that mainstream acceptance can have on the crypto market.
So a presidential pump, who would have thought?
It definitely adds an interesting twist to the story. But beyond Trump, there are fundamental reasons why DeFi is seeing a resurgence.
Like what?
The possibility of favorable regulation is a big one. There's a growing feeling that the rules around DeFi are becoming clearer, and that's encouraging investors to get back into the space.
Because regulatory uncertainty has been a major concern for the entire crypto market, especially for DeFi.
Absolutely. Clear guidance from regulators is key for big institutions to get involved and for the mainstream to accept it.
So are we seeing a move towards a more regulated and compliant DeFi ecosystem?
I think so, and I think that's a positive thing. It will help make the space more legitimate and attract more institutional money, which is crucial for long-term growth.
But regulations could also stifle innovation and slow down DeFi's growth. How can we make sure DeFi stays open and accessible while also following the rules?
That's the big question, isn't it? Finding that sweet spot between innovation and regulation. It's a delicate dance, and it's going to take collaboration between regulators, developers, and the community.
So a collaborative approach is key. But let's talk about a DeFi project that's been making waves without any help from traditional institutions or venture capitalists. Hyperliquid. This decentralized perpetual exchange has been killing it, handling millions of dollars in transactions every day. What's their secret?
Hyperliquid is a really interesting example of the power of community. They've built this thriving platform without any VC funding, relying entirely on the support and enthusiasm of their users.
And their users are clearly loving it. Their market cap is up there with some of the biggest names in crypto. What are they doing differently that's getting so much attention?
They've focused on making their platform easy to use. Trading on Hyperliquid is intuitive, even for people who are new to DeFi. They've also set up a unique way of distributing their tokens, airdropping 100% of them to the community. This has created a strong sense of ownership and loyalty.
It's like they're saying, this is your platform, you're part of this.
Exactly. And that community-driven approach is super powerful.
Plus, they're making a lot of money from their fees, which they're using to buy back and burn their tokens.
Right. Which makes the token more scarce and potentially more valuable. It's a smart strategy that aligns the platform's goals with its users' goals.
So Hyperliquid is a great example of DeFi done right. They've managed to balance innovation with user-friendliness, community engagement with sound tokenomics.
I agree. They're a force to be reckoned with in the DeFi space.
Wow, I'm already feeling information overload and I love it. This is why we do these deep dives. Before we wrap up part one, any final thoughts for our listeners?
The main takeaway is that the crypto market is incredibly dynamic. New trends pop up quickly, narratives change, and what's hot today could be forgotten tomorrow. Staying informed, being adaptable, and doing your own research is crucial in this exciting but often turbulent world.
So buckle up, stay curious, and keep learning. We'll be back in a moment to continue our deep dive into the crypto landscape. Don't go anywhere.
It definitely keeps you on your toes, that's for sure.
Keeps things interesting, no doubt about that. Okay, let's jump back in. We were talking about how important it is to stay informed and be able to adapt in the crypto market. And I think that's especially true with this whole AI explosion. I mean, it's a space that's moving at warp speed with new projects and tokens popping up like every day.
Yeah, incredibly dynamic. And while AI has huge potential, you have to approach it carefully. Not every project that says it's AI-powered is going to be a winner.
So how do you separate the real stuff from all the noise? What are some key things you look for when you're checking out an AI crypto project?
Well, one of the first things I look at is the team. Who are the developers? What have they done before, both in AI and blockchain? Have they worked on successful projects in the past?
So you're not just looking for someone who's jumped on the AI bandwagon. You want to see a team that actually knows what they're doing and has a track record.
Right. Then I dig into the technology itself. What problem are they trying to solve? Is it a real problem with a big enough market, or are they just trying to find a problem for their solution? And is their tech actually capable of solving that problem in a way that can scale and be efficient?
So you're looking at whether the solution is realistic and practical. It's not just about a cool idea. It's about actually being able to make it work.
Exactly. And then I look at the tokenomics. Do they even need a token? What does the token do within the ecosystem? How is it distributed? Is it fair and transparent? These are all important questions.
Because there are tons of projects out there that just throw a token on something without any real thought or purpose.
That's true. And those are usually the projects that fall apart. A well-designed token that actually does something useful within the ecosystem is really important for long-term success.
So a strong team, a workable solution, and solid tokenomics are the key ingredients for a successful AI crypto project. But what about the community? How important is that in this space?
Community is incredibly important in crypto, especially in the AI space, which is still pretty new and changing rapidly. A strong and active community can give valuable feedback, help to spread the word, and even contribute to the project's development.
It's like a collective brain, helping to guide the project to make sure it succeeds in the long run.
That's a great way to put it. So when you're looking at an AI project, pay attention to the community. Are they active and engaged? Do they understand the project's goals? Are they passionate about the tech and what it can do?
Those are great points. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement and the price movements. But taking a step back and looking at those fundamental things, the team, the tech, the tokenomics, and the community is crucial for making smart investment decisions.
I couldn't agree more. Investing in crypto, especially in new areas like AI, requires a mix of understanding the tech, being able to spot talent, and having some good old-fashioned street smarts.
Well put. Okay, let's shift gears for a second and talk about this surprising resurgence of NFTs. It's like the zombie apocalypse of crypto trends. NFTs were declared dead and gone just a few months ago, and now they're suddenly back, and they seem to be hungrier than ever.
It is a pretty fascinating comeback, and while some people might think it's just another speculative bubble, I think there are some underlying reasons that suggest this resurgence is here to stay.
I'll admit, I was skeptical at first. What's fueling this sudden craving for NFTs?
As we discussed earlier, the anticipation of token launches is a major factor. Investors are betting that these NFT projects will release their own tokens, and that those tokens will be valuable. This has created a lot of speculative buying around projects that haven't launched their tokens yet.
So it's kind of like buying a call option on the project's future success.
I like that analogy. And of course, you can't forget about FOMO, the fear of missing out. When you see the prices of some NFTs going through the roof, it's hard to resist jumping in and getting a piece of the action.
It's that herd mentality we were talking about.
Yeah.
But as you said, following the herd can sometimes lead you right off a cliff.
Absolutely. That's why it's so important to understand what's actually driving the market. Are people buying these NFTs because they truly believe in the project and its long-term potential? Or are they just hoping to make a quick profit from a token launch or a quick flip?
So look beyond the hype and try to see the real value, if there is any. What are some of the key things you consider when you're evaluating an NFT project?
One important factor is the utility of the NFT. Does it give you access to exclusive content or experiences? Does it make you a member of a community? Does it have potential uses in gaming, the metaverse, or other new technologies?
So it's about what the NFT can actually do, not just that it's a digital collectible.
Exactly. And I also look at how strong the community is. Is there a group of passionate, engaged people who believe in the project and its vision? A strong community can help drive adoption, create value, and keep the project going for the long haul.
So it's similar to what we talked about with AI projects. Community plays a huge role in the success of any crypto project, especially in new and evolving spaces like NFTs.
I agree completely. And I also look at the team behind the project. Do they have a good track record in the NFT space? Are they transparent and open with their community? Do they have a clear plan for the future development of the project?
It's about looking past the hype and seeing if the fundamentals are solid, just like with any other investment.
Exactly right. And it's important to remember that the NFT market is still pretty young and unpredictable. There are going to be winners and losers, and no one can say for sure which projects will succeed.
So diversify, do your research, and be ready for some bumps in the road.
Sound advice. And if you're thinking about investing in NFTs, I would suggest focusing on projects that are building real utility and creating strong communities. Those are the projects that are most likely to be around for the long term.
Great insights. I think we need to shift gears one last time and talk about DeFi. As you mentioned earlier, it's often the unsung hero of the crypto world. It's the foundation for a more decentralized and equitable financial system, but it often gets overshadowed by all the hype around meme coins and NFTs.
DeFi is definitely the steady builder, quietly doing its thing while the spotlight is on something else.
It's the tortoise to the hare of meme coins and NFTs. But, as we've seen over and over again, slow and steady often wins the race.
I like that analogy. And I think DeFi is starting to get the recognition it deserves.
As you mentioned earlier, even Trump, who wasn't always so keen on crypto, is reportedly investing in DeFi protocols. That's a pretty big sign that the mainstream is starting to pay attention.
It is, and I think part of that is because the regulations around DeFi are becoming clearer. As regulators around the world start to provide more guidance and oversight, institutional investors are feeling more comfortable getting involved in DeFi.
Because regulatory uncertainty has been one of the biggest roadblocks to mainstream adoption of DeFi.
Absolutely. Clear regulations provide a framework for compliance, which is essential for institutions that are managing large sums of money.
So are we seeing a shift towards a more regulated and compliant DeFi ecosystem?
I think so. And I think that's a good thing. It will help to legitimize the space and attract more institutional capital, which is crucial for long-term growth.
But some people argue that regulation could stifle innovation and slow down the growth of DeFi. How can we make sure that DeFi remains open and accessible while also complying with regulations?
That's the challenge, isn't it? Finding that balance between innovation and regulation. It requires a collaborative approach between regulators, developers, and the community. Regulators need to understand the unique nature of DeFi and create regulations that encourage innovation, not stifle it.
So it's about finding that middle ground, a regulatory framework that provides clarity and protection for investors without hindering the creativity and ingenuity that's driving DeFi.
Exactly. And I think we're starting to see that happen. Regulators around the world are engaging with the DeFi community, trying to understand the technology and its potential, and they're working together to develop regulations that make sense for this unique and evolving space.
That's encouraging. It suggests that regulators are recognizing the importance of DeFi and its potential to transform the financial system.
I agree. And I think this collaborative approach will ultimately lead to a more robust, sustainable, and inclusive DeFi ecosystem.
Well said. But let's talk about a DeFi project that's been thriving without any help from traditional institutions or regulators. Hyperliquid. This decentralized perpetual exchange has been making waves, processing millions of dollars in transactions every day and attracting a loyal and engaged community. What are they doing differently that's setting them apart?
Hyperliquid is a great example of what community-driven development can achieve. They've built a successful platform without any VC funding, relying solely on the contributions of their users.
And it's clearly resonating with people. Their market cap is right up there with some of the biggest names in the DeFi space. What's their secret sauce?
One key factor is their user-friendly interface. Trading on Hyperliquid is intuitive and easy to understand, even for people who are new to DeFi. They've also implemented a unique token distribution model, airdropping 100% of their tokens to the community, which has created a strong sense of ownership and loyalty among their users.
So they're empowering their community and giving them a real stake in the platform's success.
That's exactly right. And that's one of the core principles of DeFi, decentralizing power and control.
And they're generating a significant amount of revenue through their fees, which they're using to buy back and burn their tokens.
Right. This creates deflationary pressure on the token, making it more scarce and potentially more valuable over time. It's a smart mechanism that aligns the interests of the platform with its users.
So Hyperliquid is a prime example of a DeFi project that's doing things right. They've got a strong team, a user-friendly platform, a vibrant community, sound tokenomics, and a clear vision for the future.
I agree. They're a force to be reckoned with in the DeFi space.
I think it's safe to say that DeFi is no longer just a small corner of the crypto market. It's a growing and evolving ecosystem that's attracting attention from mainstream investors, institutions, and regulators.
It's a powerful movement that has the potential to transform the financial system as we know it.
And it's just one of the many exciting developments happening in the crypto world right now. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from Bitcoin's resilience to Ethereum's evolution, from the rise of AI-powered crypto projects to the unexpected resurgence of NFTs, and the ongoing innovation in the DeFi space.
It's a fascinating and dynamic landscape with new trends and narratives emerging all the time.
I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, but in a good way. There's so much to learn and explore in this space.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's a constantly evolving world that challenges us to stay curious, adaptable, and open to new possibilities.
Well said. We'll be back in a moment to wrap up this deep dive and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder as you navigate the exciting world of crypto. Stay tuned. Welcome back for the final stretch of our crypto deep dive. It's been quite a ride exploring this dynamic market, wouldn't you say?
It has. From Bitcoin's staying power to those AI coins exploding onto the scene, the NFT comeback, and DeFi steadily evolving in the background. We've covered a lot.
So before we wrap things up, let's try to sum up some of the key takeaways from all this. What are the big themes that really stand out to you?
One big one is just how fast the crypto landscape is changing. The stories we tell ourselves about crypto are changing faster than ever, new areas are emerging, and old trends are coming back stronger than ever. This makes the market exciting, for sure, but also risky and unpredictable.
It's like trying to find your way through a maze that's constantly changing. New paths pop up, dead ends appear out of nowhere. What advice would you give to our listeners who are trying to figure out this constantly evolving world?
Be ready to adapt. That's crucial. Don't get too attached to any one idea or asset. Be willing to change your strategies as the market changes, and don't be afraid to explore new opportunities.
So stay flexible, stay curious, and keep learning, right? Don't be afraid to question what you think you know and be open to new ways of looking at things.
Exactly. Another key takeaway is the power of community in crypto. We saw this with projects like Hyperliquid, where a strong and active community really drove its success.
It reminds us that crypto isn't just about tech and money. It's about people, building communities, working together, and empowering individuals.
That's a really important point, and it's something that often gets lost in all the hype and speculation around crypto.
Speaking of hype, we can't ignore the frenzy over those AI coins. AI has huge potential, but we have to be careful in this area. How can our listeners tell the good projects from the bad in such a fast-moving space?
Focus on the basics. Don't get distracted by all the fancy marketing and look at the team, the technology, the tokenomics, and the community. Are they addressing a real problem? Do they have a solution that actually works? Does their token have any real use? Is their community active and supportive? Asking these questions will help you find the projects that have real long-term potential.
So don't just chase the latest hot coin. Do your homework and understand what's really going on with the project. And remember, investing in new tech like AI always comes with risks.
For sure. Diversify your portfolio, do your research, and never invest more than you can afford to lose. These are basic investing principles that apply just as much to crypto.
Words to live by. And speaking of unexpected comebacks, the resurgence of NFTs has definitely surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Is it here to stay, or is it just another bubble waiting to pop?
I think the NFT market is growing up. We're moving past those simple profile picture projects to a point where NFTs are being used for all sorts of things, like gaming, the metaverse, music, even real estate.
So it's about finding real-world uses for NFTs beyond just collecting them.
Exactly. And I think that's a positive sign. NFTs have the potential to change a lot of industries, and we're really just getting started.
It's exciting to see how this will all play out. But let's talk about DeFi for a minute, which has been quietly making progress in the background.
DeFi is the foundation for a financial system that's more decentralized and fair. It's giving people more control over their money and creating opportunities for financial inclusion that we couldn't have imagined before.
And, as we discussed, DeFi is starting to get noticed by mainstream investors, institutions, and even regulators. Do you think this will continue?
I do. The potential of DeFi is too big to ignore. As the technology improves and the regulations become more clear, we're likely to see more institutions getting involved and more mainstream acceptance.
So DeFi isn't just a small part of crypto anymore. It's a movement that could completely change the financial system as we know it.
I couldn't agree more. It's definitely something worth paying attention to.
Well, I think that about wraps up our crypto deep dive. It's been amazing exploring this dynamic and constantly changing world with you.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this journey. Remember, the crypto world is full of opportunities and challenges. Stay curious, stay informed, and never stop learning. Until next time, happy trading.